trap low-income individuals in cycles of debt while enriching corporations at their expense. Judges intervene by scrutinizing contracts, investigating business practices, and imposing fines on companies that engage in unethical conduct. For instance, in cases involving payday loans or subprime mortgages, judges may declare terms unconscionable or void, providing relief to borrowers who were misled or coerced into unfavorable agreements. These actions restore trust in markets and promote economic justice. Taxation policies also fall under judicial scrutiny, as they directly influence wealth distribution and public funding for essential services. Judges evaluate whether tax systems are progressive, fair, and compliant with constitutional principles. They challenge regressive measures that place disproportionate burdens on lower-income households while allowing the affluent to evade their responsibilities. For example, in disputes over inheritance taxes, corporate loopholes, or offshore accounts, judges ensure that revenue collection aligns with societal needs rather than serving special interests. Their rulings often lead to increased investments in infrastructure, education, and healthcare, benefiting entire communities. Housing discrimination represents yet another dimension of economic inequality that judges tackle head-on. Low-income families and minority groups frequently encounter barriers when renting apartments, purchasing homes, or accessing affordable housing programs. Judges combat these injustices by enforcing fair housing laws, awarding damages to victims, and mandating corrective actions from landlords or developers. They also support initiatives like rent control, eviction moratoriums, and community land trusts that stabilize neighborhoods and prevent displacement. By doing so, judges help create environments where all individuals can live with dignity and security. Small businesses and entrepreneurs rely on judicial intervention to compete fairly against larger corporations. Judges address issues like intellectual property theft, antitrust violations, and contractual disputes that threaten smaller enterprises' survival. For example, in cases involving patent infringement or price-fixing cartels, judges impose sanctions on offenders and provide remedies to affected parties. These efforts foster innovation, job creation, and economic diversity, ensuring that local economies thrive alongside global giants. International trade and finance further complicate the fight against economic inequality, requiring judges to navigate complex cross-border transactions. Multinational corporations sometimes exploit weak regulatory frameworks in developing countries to maximize profits at the expense of local workers and ecosystems. Judges collaborate with international bodies like the World Trade Organization, WTO, International Labor Organization, ILO, and regional courts to investigate these practices and enforce accountability. Their rulings help bridge gaps between nations, promoting sustainable development and shared prosperity. Technology has introduced new dimensions to economic inequality, demanding innovative judicial responses. Automation, artificial intelligence, and gig economy platforms have transformed traditional employment models, leaving many workers without benefits, job security, or legal protections. Judges adapt by redefining what constitutes an employee, challenging algorithmic biases, and advocating for updated labor laws that reflect modern realities. For instance, in disputes involving ride-sharing apps or freelance marketplaces, judges determine whether workers qualify for minimum wage guarantees, overtime pay, or collective bargaining rights. These decisions shape the future of work and protect livelihoods in an increasingly digital world. Education and skill development are foundational to reducing economic inequality, and judges contribute by defending students' rights to quality learning opportunities. They hear cases involving school funding disparities, discriminatory admissions policies, or inadequate resources for marginalized communities. By ordering equitable funding formulas, desegregation plans, or curriculum improvements, judges empower young people to break free from poverty traps and achieve their full potential. These interventions lay the groundwork for long-term social mobility and economic growth.